What's good, everybody? What's up, man? It's Steve II, aka Mr. Qualified. It's your boy, and I'm back with Qualified TV, and I'm here with a very special guest, man. My brother, my homie, all of that. Mr. Nosakhare Eke, also known as DJ Sa, also better known as SoundsBySa.
Yes, sir.
You feel me, man? And we gonna sit here, talk about his journey, talk music. As you can see, I'm trying to rep music as much as possible. You feel me? All of this, so it works and it fits. But yeah, man, I'll just kind of jump in, and I guess first ask, what made you fall in love with music? Like, where'd that love for music come from?
So for me, it definitely started like back home growing up, you know.
Yeah.
And my dad was a DJ.
Okay. Damn, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. My dad was a DJ back in the day, way back when.
Okay.
And so like a lot of the equipment I even use now is like his stuff that he just gave to me. Yeah. But it really grew and stemmed from Afro beats, to be honest. Growing up in that Nigerian household, listening to a lot of that old school Afro beats back in the day. My dad used to talk about Fela a lot, you know?
Yeah.
Just a lot of different artists. And so from there, I came to college and I said I was going to DJ like freshman year. But I never really did it, you know?
Right, yeah.
But then I saw like everybody just doing their own thing. Like you had TJ, you had Tiff, you had Reggie, you just had different DJs at Mizzou that was just doing their own thing. Stan, I was like, man, I gotta get on my stuff. Like I'm serious about it. So it took me 2 years, and then I finally bought the equipment that I needed, picked up everything that I needed from my dad, and then from there it was like a wrap junior year. So
okay,
but really going back home, going back home and like listening to the music in Nigeria that year, my junior year really is what like I was like I gotta get on this.
Okay,
like,
so that was kind of what you would say ignited it, if you will.
Yeah, it just like reminded me, like I said, my dad DJing when I was younger and making us listen to all that music. It reminded me of like, dang, like this is beautiful. Yeah. This is where a lot of music originates from, you know, like a lot of genres of music originate from, you know, the homeland, you know, just that sound that we have back home. So that's why I was like, man, I really got to get on this. So
no, that's right. I'm glad you said that. I mean, I think that's something that if you're listening to music or paying attention to music nowadays, it's hard to ignore the fact that I wouldn't even say Afrobeats is taking over. I think it's just arrived and created its own. I want like not genre because it's its own genre anyway, but it's arrived and created its own following, its own audience. I think a lot of people are starting to respect a lot of things you just said in terms of understanding that this is where a lot of the music originates from. These are where these sounds originate from, and it's crazy that it's taken this long to really kind of appreciate it and embrace it. But I guess with that, and more so talking about Afrobeats, how much, not so much the influence because you spoke to that, but how much have you learned, I would say, about music through listening, to Afrobeats and becoming more aware of all the sounds and even the artists? Like, how much have you learned about music in general in terms of, like, damn, this sound that's really mainstream in America, like, is really nothing but a flip or some kind of variation of this sound that we've had for, however many years. So just speak about your kind of education and learning as you've been like being exposed to more of that music.
Yeah, definitely. I would say it helped me learn a lot because like I said, just like going back and like looking at the history of music, and like how we got hip hop and how we have, R&B, all these different genres now that are very prevalent, for black artists in the black community.
Yeah.
I went back and like just looked at those, and so like just even me learning more about like it starts with like one artist, and then I learned about like Fela and how he came to the United States and he got into like funk and he got into like jazz and just all these different sounds and actually created Afrobeats, pioneered it from that, mixing it with high life back home. And so then from there, it got me into like a lot of old school R&B. It got me into like a lot of and that connected me to neo soul, today. And so I think it got me to a point where I just dabble in every single last genre that I would like to, learn more and more about. I feel like now I got into a point where I'm like, I can produce that. Like I could not like certain beats like but just like I was like I could be a producer if I wanted to, because I've been learning. You learn more like, okay, a lot of DJs, they end up becoming producers. DJ Khaled, Mustard, all these people, they started as DJs. You start going and looking at their history and their past. And then just looking at like how the two connect, and so
for sure,
even the way you visualize music, like one DJ, she had told me, she was like, DJing is a visual thing. I think it was Tiff, when I was still learning, so she's like, it's a visual thing. So you're looking at the screen, you're looking at the monitor, and the beats are going by. You're learning some songs about 4-beat count, 6-beat count, just different stuff like that. So now I'm like, I could definitely, I'm like, okay, this stuff's adding up now. It makes sense. So I could probably produce something now.
For sure. So it's crazy you say that because I think a lot of people miss that. That, you know, they see DJ, but I don't think people realize the connection between somebody who started DJing and producing. And of course, they're not one and the same. They're clearly very different. But like you were alluding to, I think the skills that you have to learn as a DJ make the transition somewhat easier. So just speak to how much have you thought about actually getting into producing music, and then even go deeper into how everything you learn as a DJ. Even I'll rephrase it like this: what are some of the lessons you've learned as a DJ that have made you feel like, or have made you think like, if I was ever gonna go to producing route or whenever I'm ready, these are the things I know for sure I can take with me. Just what are some of those lessons within learning how to DJ outside of like the visual aspect that you mentioned?
Definitely. So the visual aspect is the first thing, and then even just how you layer beats when you're mixing two songs together.
Right.
Some people will like layer one where they just have another beat introing in slightly, and then the other one they'll turn down the bass, or they'll turn down something, you know, from one song, or fade it out, filter it out in certain ways like that. And that's a lot of the basic concepts of not basic concepts. That's just a lot of producing is where they will layer stuff. You know, you might have a hi hat here.
Right.
You might have the bass here. Or some people start with drums. Just different stuff like that. Is things that I really learned, but I don't think I want to get into producing at all. It just got to a point where I was like, okay, it makes sense now how, you know, this is made. It makes sense why this artist is how this producer their production style. You know, some, like I said, some people like to use hi-hats a lot, some like to use drums a lot. Some producers like to use more instrumental, like samples, you know, and whatnot. Like Kanye, he loops a lot of samples. So looping too is a very big thing. Where Kanye style, he'll loop a lot of like that Lauryn Hill sample we just had come out. And, he looped that over and over again. So in DJing, a big transition I like to do is just looping a certain part of a song, you know, 4-beat loop, and then it's just like it'll go into another song basically. So those things like that, it just made me think like, okay, this is possible. But I don't think I ever want to DJ, but it got me into other avenues. DJing got me into other avenues
for sure.
Producing, so.
Yeah, no, that's hella right. I mean, I think it's funny because you say we talk about it. I mean, I know we both are deep into music in our own different ways, but I feel like so many people miss like that part of music. So even when they talk about like a producer who, well, people don't even talk about producers enough in music, in my personal opinion, just from the standpoint of like bringing the music together. People talk about the artist a lot, but I feel like a lot of that is missed because there's so much that goes into making a great song. There's so much that goes into the right artist being on the right song type of deal. And I feel like people miss. But yeah, I guess like switching back more so to the DJ round, what would you say is what has been the most difficult thing that comes with being a DJ, whether it relates to the actual learning of it, whether it relates to the experience in terms of what you give? What's the most difficult thing about being a successful DJ at that?
I think for me, the most difficult, it varies for everybody for sure.
Yeah.
But for me, well, some people always say they're terrible at reading the crowd. Terrible at like,
that's a huge thing. Yeah.
Other people have struggled with just transitions more so like more technical stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that comes with time and work. For me, it's been more so of staying up to date with music and like expanding my music library and catalog as well. I know we talked about that like you know a while ago. So just not staying in the realm of Afrobeats or just not staying in the realm of like hip hop. Like trying to find other genres that are or even within hip hop, like finding other new artists, you know, or new sounds that are just that are hot basically. So it's hard for sure. One, because you have to listen to like you have to listen to a lot of music. Yeah. And so and a lot of times we get in the habit of just like your favorite artist,
you just get your songs and you just play the same
thing over and over again. So yeah, that's something I'm trying to get out of for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like definitely with the interlude, like I even realized I was like, man, I gotta try to keep up, and anything I gotta listen to like want to be open to the music, but just so I know, like even if I don't like it, I have a reason why I don't like it other than I just don't listen to him. So like even with like I think like Lil TJ, like Polo G, like all of them, like those weren't people that naturally I would just listen to because I wouldn't say that's not my type of music, but it wasn't the stuff that I was looking for. But everybody's talking about it, and so it's like if I don't like it, I'd rather know I don't like it from listening to it as opposed to just don't listen to it, just writing it off.
That was me too. I think I told you that I didn't listen to Janae Aiko for a long time, bro.
Yeah, it's tough.
Or
Yeah.
K-Long, like any of them, like women in R&B right now. I didn't listen to a lot of them just because I was like, it's not really my,
Right.
and I was like, it's not really my style, But then, like, as of late, I just been like, the quarantine came, I was listening to all Janae. I was like, man, she fire, bro.
Yeah.
Like, of course, about her features back in the day, like her old stuff. What was it? She was on Tumblr a lot. Yeah, like that old stuff. Wow, yeah, but I really didn't. I never really listened to her full body of work since like any of her work since like years. So
yeah,
and me just like not writing it off anymore because like I gotta give it a chance because everybody talking about it.
Everybody talking about it. But yeah, no. So you mentioned reading the crowd, and I'd say like I've seen you DJ plenty of times, and I think that I think that's one of the toughest things to learn in general. Now transitions, I personally, I've told you before, you done did some transitions, and I done looked at you from the other end of a party like, how did you do that? But in terms of reading the crowd, and especially like you started and you did it in college, and now granted, I ain't experienced too many other party venues, in my day outside of college, but I feel like college parties are so heavily reliant on the DJ, because without the DJ, without the music being right, the vibe of that party can be entirely wrong. So speak to that challenge and how you kind of learned and overcame the struggles of figuring out how do you read a crowd for different parties at that, because it's not just reading one crowd and knowing like that's the way to go. Like each party's gonna have a different crowd, a different feel, and it's gonna need to appeal to different peoples, whether it's a Greek party, whether it's and if you're DJing another fraternities party, or if it's just like a general party that has no type of specific audience necessarily to be tended to. Like how do you kind of balance not that struggle but just that conflict, if you will?
Definitely, yeah. So for a while I would just play whatever and then see what happens, and you just learn by trial and error over time, to be honest. And so I feel like once I got to a point where I built a system of being more organized with my music, even like organizing certain catalogs, like this genre is for this type of party. So now I have like all playlists of like 1,000 songs for like just turn up. Then I got this playlist just for like the wind down, which is more R&B focused, Then I got this playlist for, just different kind of like genres. So like a fashion show, if I DJ fashion shows, even like different events that I did for other people at Mizzou. I learned just like, okay, this is more so the vibe they're going for. This is the kind of music that, they want to feel.
For sure.
And then reading them from there. Because a lot of times I would just play whatever. And then I would get into a habit of just like transition into the next song like within like 30 or 40 seconds. Because it wasn't, because it really wasn't the vibe.
Yeah.
And so I just had to learn from there, basically. So, yeah.
Nah, that's real. I think, and that's tough because then you got people coming up to you with requests that probably don't fit the mood or your vibe at all. And you just like, well, but then you also you want to appeal to that because it's like, I don't want to necessarily not be playing stuff that they want because you want the crowd to be happy. So I can never be a DJ. I just like being in the booth and watching the party from there.
A lot of DJs do not like requests at all because
I bet.
One being that it messes up their like flow, and they're like, they might really be, some people like really be in the groove, like in their zone, you know what I'm saying? And it messes up everything that they got going. Two, because it might not match, like I want to talk about like beat matching, like layering and stuff, just different technical stuff. It might not match the beats per minute. It might not be with the vibe they're going with right now. So a lot of DJs I met do not take on requests. Now, granted, these are like good, like very great, like DJ Bandcamp and Kid Clay and DJs that are like big in their respective cities. That like DJ for like NBA teams and whatever. But for me at the lower level, like beginning DJ, I was like, okay, I gotta take your request. One, because I'm not spending nothing like amazing, like I'm not doing no crazy transitions yet. Yeah. And two, y'all want to hear it, so I'm gonna just play it for y'all. So yeah.
Nah, that's real. I mean, Bandcamp, like every time Bandcamp's DJed, I've never been disappointed. Exactly. So certain DJs, I think, like you said, after so much time and after so much experience, you get to a point where somebody's request is probably going to get played anyway because they're hip to the music. So
it's already in their queue. Like I was saying, how I have a playlist and stuff like already queued up. Like they probably already have all. They know where they know what the next two songs are going to be. Like most of the time you do. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But again, I don't know how y'all do it. I'm glad y'all do it though, because we need y'all. But no, you mentioned it before. But speak to some of the events you've done and just what went into, because then that now so goes more into SoundsBySa, and of course like you're a DJ side, but it goes into more of a brand and a business at that point. So speak to the wind downs, the Afrobeat parties, like what went into planning those and why you thought like those were the way to go in terms of theming some type of party, and then also some of the other events that you've DJed before and what those experiences were like because DJing is something that has a specific feel. Takes a lot of preparation. I can imagine. So just speak to what all went into that from a more like a brand business standpoint, knowing that you're actually kind of putting out a product at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So like the first year, when I said I started junior year, the first year I would just DJ people's events and whatnot, and I kind of I liked a lot of them actually, and then some of them I didn't like. I was like, this is terrible. I don't know who thought this would be a good idea to do this. Right. So basically from there I was like, I can throw my own events, honestly, which was always the beginning goal, but I just never really believed in it, because you saw what you were able to do in college with the chapter or whoever, throwing their events. So I'm like, I can throw my own events one day. And so then like senior year came and I finally was like, this is gonna be a brand. Like you said, it's gonna be a brand. Yeah, right, people had the hard time of like conceptualizing that like I'm DJ Sa, but SoundsBySa is more than me. Right. So made my first the Instagram and the Twitter page like in October or whatever, and then put a flyer up and threw a party, and then from there it was just history. It just kept on growing and growing, and people just actually mess with it. I was surprised, like, man, they mess with it.
I mean, I think a lot of that speaks to who you are, though. I mean, granted, I'm speaking from a place of knowing you on a personal level for the last 3-4 years, damn near now. But I think people appreciate you and support you, and it's clear that you are passionate about this, so it's very easy to support you in this. But then also on top of that, you're also really good, and it's also like, and you're trying to be good. Like you get some people who do it as a hobby, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you have somebody who you can tell is taking it seriously, like has a strong interest in music and is pushing themselves to diversify their library and what they listen to, there's just a respect that comes with that, and there's a desire to support that and just kind of help them be better, because you need people to listen, whether that's listening so they can share, listening, just to put it in the atmosphere of other people. I think that's extremely important. So like with that, what would you say is the most gratifying thing that you've gotten or that you've just felt in general from DJing?
Definitely. I'm gonna answer that question and I'm gonna go back to the events too, because I never really went over them. But for sure, the biggest thing for me is a lot of things. One, when you hear like the crowd like singing along to a song, you're like, dang, it just sounds beautiful. Like you're not that artist. You didn't make the song, but it's just like, when the DJ cut the mic or the music and everybody singing Tevin Campbell, Can We Talk? You like,
all the time.
I did that. That's a good selection right there. Yeah. So that's a great feeling. It's just like at that point you feel like you're really controlling everybody. Like the whole environment is all you in your hands. That's a great feeling. Also when I have people, like I said, engaging and actually like supporting, like, dang, like, oh, y'all follow me? Like, okay, shoot, this is kind of crazy. Like, you actually mess with the brand and the visuals, the concept behind it. So that's very gratifying. But as far as the events go, basically, so what happened was after that October, that was my first Afrobeats party ever. And so now I just do like a different events. I did like one-off events, like I threw an all-black affair, and an event like Aquarius affair was like based off of like people's birthday who were Aquarius got in for free. Right. It was just different events. I was just throwing parties like almost every weekend at one point. And I was like, I had nothing else to do after fall 18. We came back the next semester, and I was like, it's my last semester in college. I had nothing to do. So
no, that's real.
Yeah, and from there I kind of got burnt out because I just realized it was a lot to talk to the venue, organize, make a different flyer every time, different thematic kind of flyer, a different kind of theme every time. And I kind of started studying a lot of other bigger brands and DJs when I started to travel more and just go to different events and realize that they have like their marquee kind of events that they really, stick to. Like they might have like a brunch series where it's named the same kind of thing, but it's a brunch. It's a different kind of, it's a brunch every time. It might be a different location. It might be a different kind of vibe to it. So from there I was like, I need to like make like party series. Like, and that's where the Wind Down came from, because I remember going to a Wind Down in Houston. I loved it. It was T. And I spoke to that DJ about it, but his wasn't R&B focused. I was like, this should be like an R&B.
Yeah, no. I mean, when Spring 19 was really a great time because you was in your final semester. I had just graduated, so I was like figuring things out, but like I was like really very open. You were throwing something every weekend, so it was just like, can't go wrong. We teed every weekend.
Yeah. And on top of that, it was definitely teed every weekend. But I told you I kind of got burnt out, especially with the parties that were like rah, it was teed. You know, it became too rowdy at a point. I remember a point when we had to walk into the industry where we started parties at, and it was just so packed, like they couldn't even control the doors. So I was like, I need something that's more chill. One, two, that's for kind of an older crowd.
Yeah.
And so people that just want to, you can vibe, you can relax, you can also talk, dance, sing along, whatever you want to do to it. So that's where the wind downs came from. And from there, those took off too. Then Impulse was just the way I just decided to call that all my Afro beats and kind of regular parties.
Right.
And so those were really the two that I just took off and kept on going forward with those party series there. So
for sure. Yeah, but so burning out is hella real, and burning out is something that I think you experience in any industry or facet that you participate in. Speak to the time from like you started doing these events and you had a good run, you burned out, and then speak how like also kind of coming into quarantine, just that whole process, how that's played a role in now what you're doing with SoundsBySa. And I wouldn't call it or consider it a rebrand because you're not doing that, but I think there's a different focus and direction that you're trying to take the brand now. So just kind of speak to that entire process of getting burnt out, then you kind of hitting quarantine, which means you no longer have places to go and DJ, you no longer have parties to DJ. So not only does that affect business, but now it's like, okay, like where do I even find the time to still work on mixes or just listen to music, actually play around with putting it into a mix? Just speak on that whole experience, because again, like from a music standpoint, I couldn't imagine being a DJ getting used to like, oh, I got this bookings and that booking, and all of a sudden there's nowhere to book, there's kind of nowhere for me to really put my music or do music besides doing mixes, and sometimes that can get old for DJs, I would imagine. So yeah, just speak to that time and kind of what that whole process was like mentally, more so than anything.
Yeah, I think like towards the end of my senior year, like spring 19, like you were saying, that's when the burnout really started. And then I came to a point where I was like, I'm not doing no more events in Como anymore. Because it just became too much, kind of like you were saying, like the booking and this, like every student organization wants to book you. People want to book you for weddings and whatever it might be. Like it was just all type of events that I was doing, which is very fun and very cool and all. But at a certain point, I had to tell myself, like, okay, what is my ultimate goal here, And is this hindering me from my ultimate goal, which it was. So I don't have my own time to focus on my own stuff as far as just, my own branding, like content creation, because I do make all my graphics, all my videos, all that stuff myself. I don't have time to even like worry about the business side of it, which is booking venues and communicating with like liquor sponsors or whoever to get wine, or just all these different aspects of it. And so it didn't become fun at that point. So then like we came back to we were in grad school together that first fall 2019, and I didn't DJ for like I don't think I had any events for like a long time.
No, I went a while without having some.
Yeah, I went from like not having events in Como to like not having events at all because I wanted to just like I was burnt out, I was tired, but I also wanted to. It was a rebrand. It is a rebrand, like what I'll say right now. So from there, I kind of like I was still networking and like connecting with other DJs in many different cities. Like I would travel. I'll be gone every weekend.
Yeah,
and I would be
going every weekend.
I would go to everybody's. I would go to any event I could go to and just connect with all these different dope DJs and learn something from them and just kind of like rebrand myself. And so I knew I had the themes of the party series that I wanted to do, but I didn't have the team still to like kind of help me with that burnout. So that's when I just asked my friends like, yo, who wants to help with social media? At first it was just social media. It was just me asking like my friends from college, like, who wants to help with social media? Then it became like, okay, y'all can start booking venues for me. I might as well just hire y'all and pay y'all after every event. And so that's what really happened. Now we got a team of 3 people, 3 young ladies, dope as hell, that help with all that. We had a pretty good amount of stuff going before Corona hit. So then we finally started throwing events again. In January we had our event in Kansas City, our first wind down ever in KC. Then we went to Chicago in February. We had our event in Chicago. It was great. Shout out to DJ Matrix. He was the other DJ with me on there. And then we were supposed to go to New York and LA next, actually. And then Corona hit. So, unfortunately, we had to take a step back. But then it also gave me some time to, like, breathe, 1, and then also, 2, reevaluate, like, this pandemic changed a lot for a lot of people. So I was like, I don't want to be in this position again where we're not able to have some type of way to, 1, keep, like, well, to monetize basically.
Yeah.
Because we pay for certain things. We're paying for a lot actually. Like we're paying for my record pools where I get my music from. Paying for the emails that the girls use to email people on Google Suite or whatever. This stuff costs money every month. So that was the first thing. The second thing was also I wanted a way to still connect with people with music. So I was like, that's when I started doing like a lot of the DJ battles and all that stuff, and I was like, okay, this virtual realm that we seeing going on with verses and everything, it might be like the thing forever.
Yeah, it definitely might become a staple in music, and I think, and as much as people might find fatigue in that, I don't, only because I feel like this is the way we have to receive it now, and then on top of that, whenever we do get back to whatever the new normal will be of listening to music like physically, we can still have this realm, and it can still be something that, while it may not give the same experience as in person, it's still music, and it's still a way to enjoy it and connect, with people through music. So I definitely feel that. And the pandemic changed a lot, but I think it was good for music because I think it changed the way a lot of people paid attention to it and listened to it. Because before, you got to think how much music was really being missed because people just do not have the time. And now there's so many people that people are able to catch up with or catch up on. Like, there are way more people that now know about like Griselda than they did before Corona. And I really think that's because you just have more time for music to hit you and for music to come around because you're not doing nearly as much as you were before.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
And so that's where SoundsBySa Radio came from because, one, I want to give people that the platform kind of to explore new music and different music, but kind of still centering it around like the party series. So like the wind down is going to be like a consistent playlist that's released because it's kind of giving you the feel as if you were physically in that space, still there interacting with people and still getting that same kind of vibe. But also giving you like the opportunity to, explore new music when these playlists are created because at an event it's very hard for DJs to like drop a song and nobody know because it could be a flop. It could be like, oh, this hot, or it could be like, I don't know, because it's not a banger net, it's not like mainstream yet, more so, or like, it's just not out there for everybody yet. So that's kind of like just the avenue it's given me now is to like connect with people virtually from anywhere. I don't have to be in Chicago. I don't have to be in KC. You can just tune into my Instagram. You can tune into SoundCloud or whatever it might be and just get that same experience. So,
for sure. So yeah, man. So to some more general music questions now. What would you say was or has been your favorite verses so far?
My favorite verses. That's hard. Pain and Little John.
Or give me your top, whatever you come up with, top 3 or top 5. We can go whatever you want to go with.
I would say that I really enjoyed the very early stages. So Scott Storch versus Manny Fresh was hard.
I think that was a very underrated versus battle.
It was very underrated. Yeah. I like the producers ones a lot.
Yeah, I think we need more of those.
Little John and T-Pain was fire.
I think that'll remain top 3.
And then there's one more that I might have liked, but I don't remember because it's not. If it hit me, I'll let you know. But those two right there were definitely like fire.
T-Pain and Lil Jon, I think, like I said, I don't think they're ever gonna fall out the top 3. I think just between both their catalogs, between the camaraderie and respect within the verses, and the fact that the verses was literally filled with nothing but slaps, like literally nothing but hits from like an era that I personally feel like is extremely overlooked in the 2000s.
2000s?
Like,
oh my god!
Not even just in music, like really in culture. Like we look at it now and we laugh at like how people was dressed and stuff, but like that was a time. I would have loved to be like of age in the 2000s. Like shit was
being in college in the 2000s,
man.
I think it's overshadowed by the 90s a lot.
That's why. No, most
that's
definitely.
why.
People definitely look at because then also the 2000s. I think people. I won't say they discredit it, but people don't acknowledge the change that took place in the 2000s. Like the 90s was its own staple genre and was very, as much as there was a lot of great hip hop in the 90s, I think R&B really was the one that had the stronghold on the 90s. Because I think that's what a lot of people remember the 90s for, is that R&B era. Even within culture to a degree, they remember that. But then the 2000s, I think it was just so different. Like people don't talk about the phase in from now you go, like But it's not that much different because shit was still back in the 90s and it was baggy in the 2000s.
Yeah.
But even like with music, I think the difference in music was, I think we just saw we saw different types of rap start to emerge. And I think R&B took a step back. And I think that was the biggest difference in those genres in that time frame.
Yeah, I think, or even, so I feel like in the 90s, towards the end of the 90s specifically, R&B and rap kind of even started to collide. Just in the fashion and like what you saw Diddy doing with different groups and like how he branded, putting them in that baggy clothes we talked about. And so it just kind of made pop, like, I don't know if I want to call it pop culture or black culture. It just made it like that streetwear kind of culture more in everybody's face. And then from there, that culture was like, oh, the culture's there, the dressing's there.
Yeah.
Our music, 2000s, it took off.
Yeah, it definitely took off. And I don't think we got that clear mesh of R&B and hip hop until the end of the 2000s. When you look at with 808s, Drake was so far gone. I think that was kind of when it was like official, like, okay, this is where music is heading now. But I still think there's a lot of artists and a lot of good music of that time that just gets ignored. Why? I really don't know. But yeah, nonetheless, getting off of that little tangent. Who would you say are some of your favorite artists right now? Either just in general, they've always been your favorite artists, or your favorite artists to listen to.
So, favorite rappers growing up since like 2011 really was always been Cole, Drake, and Kendrick, of course, just because them really 2011, 2012, that's when they all kind of had their big album. Like they took off from there, Yeah. And then they had projects before that, of course, but for other genres of music, Burna Boy, like Afrobeats, Burna Boy, Wizkid, really are two. They're just dope, man. They're just great artists that are like, I mean, Wizkid is really slept on a lot because Burna gets a lot of shine, but he produces a lot of stuff. He writes for a lot of artists. Of course, we saw him on that Drake.
That was the first time a lot of people heard of Wizkid.
Yeah, like he produces a lot of that, like a lot of music for a lot of people. So that people don't know about. And so those two. Of course, I love Beyonce always. But new artists that I've been like kind of listening to more so have been like Chica. I love Chica so much.
She's so dope.
She's so dope.
She's so dope.
She's so dope. I love Flo Milli. She's hard.
Hey, women in rap are like
they're going
crazy right now, and it's legit. And I think it's something that for our generation at least, I think like we didn't grow up having Kim, Latifah, like Rod Digger, like we didn't have them growing up. Like we heard about them.
All we really had was Nicki.
All we had was Nicki.
Yeah, she ran the game for a minute.
We really only had Nicki as the only female rapper for so many years. So for us, this is our first taste of like, I don't think we ever thought women couldn't rap. We just didn't have it. Yeah. And now we have this abundance of it. And it's really amazing to see because a lot of them are extremely talented. And it kind of, I guess it sucks that there was such a gap like between getting them. But then at the same time, you gotta think in the 2000s, you didn't have too many like women rappers. So then when Nicki comes along, I think Nicki has to establish herself and become who she becomes to even start putting it into who's rapping now for them to be like, oh, a woman can be on top of rap, or a woman can hang with men, in rap and hold her own and
Nick was
be
killing
better.
Dudes on some songs, like
she arguably has one of the top 5 verses of the decade, and I will argue anybody down to be in the top 5. I ain't saying it's the best. But I'm saying you have
the verse.
Yes, show me another verse by anybody that tops that on all things considered, and we can have a discussion. But yeah, man. So
and Mulatto too. I've been getting.
She has a lot of potential, man.
Yeah,
Mulatto has a lot of potential.
I was on Flo Milli like a long time, like last fall, 2019. I knew about her. I never heard of Mulatto.
I didn't hear about Mulatto
until like this year, like until March or April.
I didn't hear about till Muwap.
Yeah, I'm like, who is? I'm like, whoa, she kind of hard.
I didn't like Muwap. I will say that, but I listened to her project that just dropped not too long ago, and I was like, there's a lot of potential here. Like she can spit, and I'm not sure if like she writes, but like if she does write, her pen is decent. Like she just need to get with somebody that's gonna really help her hone a sound. But like she has a lot of potential, and she's a mix of I think a lot of
different artists.
Different artists and different women rappers specifically.
She reminds me of Meg.
She reminds me a lot of Meg, but she
kind of got her own vibe.
She got her own vibe,
yeah.
but she I would say she got inspiration from Meg, and I think what you're seeing now is, as crazy as it sounds, people are everybody's inspired by Nicki, but I think right now you're seeing this spread of you either got people who are kind of more inspired by Meg or more inspired by Cardi, and it's kind of funny that seems to be the three that are like shaping what women rap, will essentially be or is becoming. But I think that's also an ode to Nicki first and foremost, but also Cardi for what she did. Because no matter your feelings about Cardi, she had a time in music, and she was a stamp in music that cannot be disregarded. And then Meg is Meg, and she's just taking over at this point.
Meg's gonna be at the top of the game for a minute.
Yeah, for a while, and especially when she gets to a point where she's like, I don't want to say making music seriously, but when she gets to a point where she's like, let me hone this sound, let me really make it distinct who I am as an artist, and she does that's gonna really be dangerous for rap in general, not just women rap, but rap in general for sure. But yeah, man, I don't know. We can talk about music for days, but the last question, and kind of just to touch back on everything we talked about before. You are essentially a businessman. You are a DJ. Being a DJ has made you want to turn this into a brand and into a business, and you have this responsibility to provide people with these vibes, with these emotion, with these feelings, and especially in the time right now, you're providing something, an experience that they literally physically cannot get. So with all that being said, and with everything that goes into that, what would you say makes you as DJ Sa, but also makes SoundsBySa as a business qualified?
That's a great question. I was waiting for that one. Yeah. Nah, definitely. I think I was born to do this, and I think just like what makes you qualified, I think you were called to do this to connect different people and whatever medium you're using. And so I like to say like it takes 10 years for every overnight success, basically. So people like to say like, oh, like you're doing good things now, you big, it's only been 2 years, but no, I think like I said before, this has been in me, since growing up. It's been since childhood. I just didn't know yet, and so definitely the people and the experiences that I've had, throughout my life is what makes me qualified. It built me to be this kind of person that I am today, and want to, give my joy of music to the world as well, in whatever way that may be. So yeah, it's just everything that I've gone through up until now, it really has built me to be qualified.
For sure. Most definitely, man. Is there anything you want the people to pay attention to follow? Any shout-outs you have? Do that before this episode will cut out.
Definitely follow at SoundsBySa, Instagram, Twitter. We have a Facebook as well. Be looking out for all the mixes on SoundsBySa Radio coming up soon. So we're curating this dope playlists and mixes with visuals too. I don't know too many DJs that give you visuals as well. So we're trying to tell a whole story, paint a whole picture for you guys, so you can really, like I said, be engulfed in as if you were there with us in the event. So definitely check that out, and that's it from me.
Yeah, and for sure. And by the time this interview drops, me and Sa probably gonna have a real special treat for y'all. So just stay tuned. But until then, until next time, love y'all. Peace.
Peace.